Am I the jerk for refusing to help my partner paint their house because they want to keep all the labor costs that their landlord is paying for? My girlfriend recently rented an apartment in a city where we currently do not reside, and her landlord has offered to pay both her and her roommate $1,000 to paint the interior of the apartment, including supplies. Initially, we were unsure if her roommate would participate, so I immediately offered to assist and split the money with my girlfriend, to which she agreed. It turned out that her roommate did want to help, so I assumed my help was no longer needed. Yesterday, my girlfriend and I traveled to the city. She dropped me off to attend to my activities while she went to her apartment to meet up with her roommate and her roommate's mother. That evening, she texted me, asking why I was not helping her. At the time, I was busy making music, so I informed her of that. When she returned, she mentioned that I should help her the following day. I did not say anything at that moment. The next morning, she asked if I would come to help, and I essentially declined. This greatly upset her, and she argued that I should assist as her boyfriend. She also mentioned that her roommate's mother was helping without compensation. Despite her reasoning, I still felt that it was unjust, and I conveyed that I would not demand half of her $500, but I believed I should receive payment for the work if there was money allocated for it. Additionally, I realized that I did not have appropriate attire for painting. The argument circled around for a brief period, and she eventually stormed out to return to her apartment. Subsequently, I messaged her because I felt she did not comprehend my perspective. I mentioned that she should have informed me to bring painting attire if she expected me to assist. Furthermore, I expressed that it was presumptuous to expect free help when one is receiving payment for the work. She argued that the money was for her rent, to which I retorted that it could also contribute to my rent. I pointed out, he is compensating you for labor, and you are asking me to perform the labor, yet you are keeping all the money. She responded, it's just called helping a friend. Once again, I would be willing to help her if there were no payment involved. However, given the circumstances, I find it unfair that she did not even consider compensating me for the work she requested. It feels unjust, and it is not a scenario I would create if our roles were reversed. Nevertheless, I feel conflicted because I also believe I should support her. So, am I the asshole in this situation? Nothing you have done here makes me think you are the jerk here. Your logic is sound. She's being paid to do a job, and if you're doing a portion of it, you should be compensated. This is no different than any other job where people get paid for their work. Her entitlement and poor communication are the real issues here. Am I the jerk for not pushing my child to follow the path their deceased parent envisioned for them? I am a father to a 22-year-old daughter. We lost her mother to a driving under the influence incident in 2018. After her mother died, her grades began plummeting out of control to the point where she risked not passing most of her classes. I had tried filling that role to give her that push, but it only made her more distant and stubborn. She grew very resentful and depressed to the point where I feared I would lose her too. It was a very emotionally turbulent period, but she eventually opened up and revealed that she felt lost because she spent her whole life following her mother's expectations, and now that she was gone, she didn't feel like she had any direction or identity of her own to move forward. After that, my main priority shifted towards helping her discover herself and find autonomy, and part of that included going to the mall and giving her the freedom to choose whatever she wanted to wear. She gravitated towards more outlandish styles than anything her mother had ever chosen for her: fishnet, leather, plaid skirts, belts, etc. She started experimenting with vibrant hair colors and styling it into a mohawk. I thought it was a phase, but she really found herself in this identity, and nowadays she makes a lot of her own designs and gets excited to send me pictures of herself when she creates a new fashion that she wants to share with me. This change put her in a much better place emotionally, but her grades never returned to what they once were. She got rejected by the colleges she had applied for, and that's around when the pandemic hit, so she opted out of pursuing college. I told her she could stay with me for as long as she needs, and she's still here to this day. The conflict. Her maternal grandmother called me the other day. I guess someone had posted a photo at a protest on social media that my daughter could be seen in, and that set her off on me. She claimed that I betrayed the memory of her daughter and that her grandchild should have been graduating college this year and moving out on her own with a good man. That because she now looks like a delinquent, she's ruined any chance of having a stable life, a respectable job, or a good husband. That she's been set up for failure, doesn't surround herself with people who will push her to grow, and will be stuck living with me. That I should have taken charge instead of letting her make these decisions for herself when she was so young, vulnerable, and confused. Her words have been eating away at me and left me questioning if there's merit. I do have doubts and worry about her being well off and having enough security for the future, and she has missed opportunities because of how she presents herself, but I am still proud of who she has become. Am I the asshole for encouraging and enabling her punk outlook rather than working to set her on the more lucrative path her mother had always dreamed for her? You did nothing wrong here. You're doing the best you can with the hand you've been dealt. Alt. Your daughter is still very young and has years ahead of her to build a career and valuable skills. And it's important to encourage her independence, not just meet some outdated expectations. Your concern should be her health and success, not staying beholden to the past. It's easy to assume how things might have been different, but what's crucial now is supporting her for who she is today. Am I the jerk for inviting my mother and her husband to my graduation and not telling them I had changed my name? I, 18 years old female, moved out of my mom's house and in with my grandparents 5 months ago, 2 days after I turned 18. I also changed my last name after the move, which is not something I mentioned to either my mom or her husband until now. My reason for changing my name is they changed it first. I had my dad's last name, but when my mom married her husband when I was 7, they changed mine to go along with theirs. I never wanted to have his name. I told them that, but my mom told me it was so important that we all have the same last name. Mostly so her husband would feel like we truly became a family, but also so he could claim me more easily and pick me up from school or dance classes or take me someplace without being questioned on who he was to me. I will always see it as him trying to claim me. He said it so many times that I was his daughter and I was his kid and stuff of that nature. It got so annoying and I never wanted to be his kid. I never claimed him back. I have always rejected the idea that he is any kind of parent to me. I hate how territorial he is. I hate how he would lose his temper with people who knew me as Dad's kid, or mentioned I was Jay's daughter, and claim me as his own instead. I told him and my mom how much I hated it, and he told me he was feeding me, raising me, and loving me, and that entitled him to be recognized as my dad. My dad died when I was 5, so that's why I wanted to still be his kid. He didn't abandon me or walk out. He loved me, and he died because of a stupid allergic reaction that left me without the most important guy in my life. My mom always defended her husband and told me I should show more appreciation for him because he could leave us, and would I want that? I said yes a few times and she flipped out so hard. Sometimes I think my mom wanted to send me off to boarding school so I wouldn't ruin her marriage. I know they looked into it, but they would never give me to my paternal family because they still wanted to claim me as theirs. All of this led to a terrible relationship, and me moving out as soon as I could, which then led to me changing my last name back and never telling them. But I decided they could see me graduate and find out then. Only, they got an email from the school with my full name on it for their tickets, and they were furious that I invited them but didn't tell them. They said I was trying to make a fool out of them. My mom's husband told me I would have left them clueless as I publicly disowned them. I told him I was doing that for years and he never accepted it. They told me I was so thoughtless and petty. Am I the asshole? Nothing you have done here makes me think you are the jerk. Your mom and her husband need to get over themselves. You were never your stepdad's child, and you never will be. It's your name, and you have every right to reclaim it. Your mom and stepdad will either accept you claiming your true self, or they won't. But don't let their actions change who you are or your future. Am I the jerk for not buying my spouse a horse? I work in an intense and unfulfilling job 6 days a week. My spouse has not had a paying job since we got engaged 16 years ago. 7 years ago, I quit my change the world job for a mercenary and awful job that I hate, but which pays 10 times as much. My spouse enthusiastically supported my job change to the higher paying but awful job. Over time, particularly recently, I've told my spouse clearly that this job is leading me to an early grave. Dealing with the people and stress every day is awful and not rewarding in the least. However, as the pay rolled in, our standard of living increased, and the amount we spend each month is eye-watering. Last night, at a cocktail party with my friends, my spouse got drunk and on the way home tearfully told me that I just don't understand her, and that what she truly needs to feel fulfilled is a horse. After a few questions, where she kept replying that this horse or that wasn't good enough for her, our discussion devolved into shouting. I want to go back to a job I like someday. I'd like to reduce our spending, so I don't need to work until I'm 80. We do not have a backyard where a horse can graze. We would need to first buy a special breed of horse she demands for tens of thousands of dollars, pay for feed, veterinary care, stable, insurance, etc. We're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars. Another stone in my backpack, basically guaranteeing that I will never be able to do anything else. I view this as her saying in so many terms. Well, I want to be fulfilled, but I don't give a hoot about your stress and fulfillment. Am I the jerk for not rushing to buy her a horse? You did nothing wrong here. You shouldn't have to sacrifice your happiness and work yourself to the bone while she enjoys the perks of disposable income. She can get a job and contribute to the household expenses, and then she can spend her own money on what she likes. It's important to lay out a solid plan to change your work-life balance and pursue fulfilling work. Am I the jerk because I plan to rescind my invitation to take my parent on vacation? I spent $3,000 on a vacation at a resort that is about 3 hours away. I rented a place large enough to accommodate my mother and my younger brother. My brother was looking forward to the trip several weeks ago, but now, we are 1 week away from leaving and their attitudes have shifted. I called my mother yesterday afternoon, and the excuses started. She said, "I haven't found anyone to take care of my cat." My brother then said, "I'll stay back because I need to work on my RV, and I can keep the cat." My mother giggled and said, "He doesn't really want to go." With a crushed heart, I told her I need to go and would talk to her later. She then texted that she would still be going, and my brother would stay back to take care of his cat. I responded with, "Don't feel pressured to go. I have spent a lot of time and money on this vacation and don't appreciate it being treated like it's an option at this point," she then said. "You know I'm planning to go or I wouldn't have reserved a golf cart. They called several times and I ignored them. I am used to her rejection and always choosing others and things ahead of me. My husband thinks I should tell her to come or not come depending on what she wants to do. However, I no longer want her on this vacation. Her words cause damage and I need space for healing. I love my mom, but the rejection has happened my whole life and I'm ready for change." You did nothing wrong here. You included your mother and brother in your vacation plans, but they both made excuses not to go. Enjoy the vacation with those who actually want to be there and appreciate the effort. If they can't even pretend to be excited, it's their loss, not yours. Am I the jerk for telling my sister-in-law to brush her children's hair? My brother and his wife have 3 children, aged 8, 5, and 3. The older 2 children usually get ready on their own. However, they often end up dressed in mismatched clothes, not properly washed, dressed for the weather, or with brushed hair, if at all. I can't recall how the topic came up during my father's birthday dinner, but it was mentioned that their oldest child doesn't like to brush his hair. I suggested that they should still ensure it gets done, either by him or his parents. The wife expressed that she didn't want to brush his hair as she needed to leave for work. I voiced my disagreement, stating that children should be cared for before focusing on other tasks. This led to an argument where she refused to discuss the matter with someone without children or a degree. After some back and forth, she declared that she never liked me and banned me from their youngest child's birthday party. I pointed out that I haven't visited them in over a year, to which she responded that she wouldn't visit me either. I then expressed that I wouldn't invite her, questioning why she came over since it wasn't my decision, as it's my parents' house. I commended her for revealing her true feelings and avoiding direct communication. On their youngest child's birthday, their oldest child mentioned that they were no longer allowed to visit their grandparents due to my influence. This isn't the first time they've kept the kids away from my parents, often using them as leverage for favors. My brother seemed to support his wife's actions, claiming that childless individuals tend to judge parenting more frequently. This was only the second time I had commented on their parenting practices. I feel sorry for my mom, who has endured similar situations before and chooses to stay silent to continue seeing her grandchildren. In this situation, am I in the wrong for speaking up? It's totally normal for kids to have messy hair or mismatched clothes sometimes. They're just being kids. But if there's a situation where the same booger stain is on a shirt for a week straight, that's a sign of neglect. Parents need to ensure their kids are maintaining basic hygiene. Also, responsibilities shouldn't be shifted unfairly. Both parents need to step up. Thanks for watching. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications so you never miss a video. To finish listening to all the stories, check out the playlist in the description.